Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Diorama Top. Happy Saturday. Diorama Top? Maybe that's a new show. Diorama Talk. Uh, welcome back. Hope everybody is having a great Saturday. We have a huge artist tonight, Jordan with Oilers. But before we get into that, let's talk about a few channel announcements. First of all, it's coming towards the end of the month for the Toys for Tots charity drive that the Infinity Equation and a whole bunch of us from the YouTube community is putting on. Just Jay Hernandez, Dan Hu, the Toy Amigos, the Enablers, Foam Formers, all of us come together for the month of August to help contribute to the Toys for Tots drive. Sorry as I fidget with my mic. So make sure you check that out. I have in the comments the link to Just Jay's YouTube channel that has a link to donate. So if you're feeling in the charitable mood, please go out there and contribute. Also, there's a contest for it down below here in the ticker. You will see if you make a donation, take a screen cap of that, post it on Instagram using the hashtag IE for Tots. You could be entered into a giveaway in support of that charity. That does end in August, so we're coming up on the last week for that. So please, if you feel charitable and it's for the kids, go out there and make a donation. Outside of that, last week I made an announcement, and I hope you guys can hear me. Should have did a mic check. Yep, everybody can hear me. They can definitely see the shades, so the shades are on tonight. Last week I made an announcement about a giveaway for some milestones, and those milestones were two things, right? 750 subscribers and 1,000 subscribers. I want to thank Plastiatico for putting together and chopping up me stumbling over my words into something that was short and meaningful to get out there on Instagram and YouTube. But also thank Artwood Toys, Rick for reposting it, Billy Moon, Star Marvel, all you guys, thank you so much for reposting that. I did ask that you help me spread the word on that. As of today, we're at 525 subscribers, so we're more than halfway there. So if we can get to that number by the end of season 2, I would be giving away a box of a bunch of entry-level, could be considered entry-level tools, as well as an entry-level Creality Ender 3 printer, new in the box, to 2 lucky people. So be on the lookout for that, and please subscribe. Other than that, let's get into it. Let's bring Jordan in from Oilers. Thank you so much, Jordan, for being here tonight. How are you, sir?
I'm wonderful. How are you? And guys,
Good.
if you're not subscribed, what's wrong with you? Come on, this guy's awesome. Hit the thumbs up too. I'm doing good, man. Thanks for inviting me.
All right. Oh yeah, man. You were the one of the ones like back in season 1, and we were talking about this backstage where I was like, I want to invite this guy, but I want to make sure this platform's good before I bring into someone, not that I don't respect the other guys. I love all the artists, but you were one of the first that, really recognized some of my early work and really motivated me. So there was some nervousness and wanted to make sure I had a platform, to bring someone, especially of your skill set. I'm still kind of nervous, actually. So I appreciate you being here, and thank you. But before we get into it, let's do the elevator speech of Oilers. What you do, who you are.
Well, Oilers Workshop is the name of my account. My name is Jordan Afonso. So Oilers, by the way, is actually the name of me as a steampunk character. A lot of people think it might be because of a sports team. Like I'm like a go sports go guy. I don't know what's
Sports
up
ball.
with that. But Oiler was my steampunk character's name, and that ties directly to my sort of modern desire to make things. I started making things again about 7 years ago because I got inspired by some steampunk stuff. But my whole life I've been obsessed with making stuff. And it all kind of started with when I first saw Star Wars at 7 years old. I was like, how do they make all this? What is all this? What's going on? And when my mother explained to me that it was all miniatures, that kind of blew my mind. And ever since I was 7, I've been trying to figure out how to make stuff out of other stuff. And so that kind of led my whole creative journey up till now. And I've been inspired by many things, all kinds of sci-fi, as you see over here, steampunk, stuff like that. And so here I am sharing all the crazy stuff that I make on Instagram.
And you're definitely a Hot Toys collector, I see. I want to talk about that at some point.
Okay.
But before we go any further, let's give some shout outs to these folks that came through to see us tonight, because that's what it's about. I love the community, and that's why I want to do a live stream. So the first one in here tonight is High School Creation. No, I'm just kidding. Star Marvel, what's up, dude? Thank you for all the support. Huge supporter. He also supports over on Patreon. Love you, man. Thank you for being here tonight. I know you're really here for just Oilers, but glad you're here.
He supports everybody, man. He's like
Yeah.
always out there, like helping everybody.
Yo, what's up, Marcus Yee, 796 Studios, Art G, what's going on? Matt, August Photos, Adam Gonzalez, great artist. Mike White Vegeta, hey, I got your stuff out today. Hope you got my tracking number. The Diorama Project, Dilly Dilly.
Hey,
Chamba.
That guy's awesome.
Yeah, Chamba will be on next week. He committed. I know he's in a, what is it, 13, 14-hour, 12-hour difference, whatever. But Chamba will be on next week. Mr. C, what's going on? Toying around. Prime to the first. Dark Clueless. What's up, dude? Laser Pants in the house. Thank you all for being out here tonight and supporting us, Jordan, tonight. Oh, Scarlet Kid coming in. What's up? Thank you, guys. And, help spread the word. If you can, leave a like. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. And tell your friends. There's some awesome giveaways I'm trying to do to get to that reputable number that YouTube wants us to be, so we can monetize and do mobile stuff and just be a YouTuber officially. I don't know.
But, yeah, man, that takes time. People don't realize they need that. Give them a subscribe, hit the thumbs up, because we need that. All of us trying to be legit on here.
Right, because there's two numbers, not to get into the YouTube stuff, but there's watched hours and then there's the number of subscribers. And watched hours can be difficult, but with the live streams, it helps out a little bit. So the watched hours, I'm not worried about. I'm close to like 3K. I think I can get to 4K by the end of the year. Yeah, and the live streams really help. So thank you all. It's all you guys out here watching these live streams, supported the artist. But it's that second number, the actual subscribers, that trying to do a push for. So I hope that entices people to subscribe. And it would also help, diorama builders, I hope, that want to get into, instead of stick building, which is still cool, but also, designing your own parts and, 3D printing them. So, or using this mystery tool box that I put together. So, anyway, yeah, thank you all. So Jordan, let's get into it. Oh, there will be 2 giveaways tonight, guys, just not to forget about that. So from Toy Maestro, for me, we have Marvel. Wait, Miss Marvel? Why did I forget her name? Yeah, Miss Marvel. Oh, Marvel Girl. God, jeez, Marvel Girl. And then Jordan, do you want to talk about yours?
Everybody loves their favorite Jar Jar, right?
I like that figure a lot.
Bestest action figure ever.
The articulation actually surprised me, and the figure, or the deluxe accessories, are really cool. So.
Yeah, I'm telling him I wanted to make a diorama of Darth Vader force choking him, but I just don't have time, so I'd rather give it to you guys.
There you go, give him back. Thank you. So we will do 2 giveaways at the end of the night, and I think we're going to do spinny wheels. Last person standing. We'll just do some, I guess, code word in the chat, collect names, and we'll do some spinny wheels. What do you think about that, Jordan?
Sounds good to me.
All right. That's going to be spinny wheel of death towards the end of the night. So this will probably only be at the most a 2-hour stream, guys. So you don't have to wait too long to win those awesome figures. So yeah, that's the giveaways. Let's get into it. Let's chill. We don't have nothing to talk about now except for us and dioramas. So it's funny, you covered yours up, but we actually have a similar pattern shirt. Yours is a Monarch, I think, but mine is Bat Force. It's very similar.
That's kind of synchronicity, man. We both have facial hair. We both have lots of hair on our head, and we both have black shirts with pretty pictures.
There you go. Bat Force. I'm gonna say it again. Repping Bat Force tonight. All right. So, yeah, dude. So, what's been going on?
What's been going on is trying to get dioramas done.
How many? That's always been my question for you. I think I just never asked. How many builds do you do at one time, or have going on at once?
Too many.
Okay.
Right now, I have let's see. I have two small projects that are going to be done soon. I have 1, 2, 3 big projects and a million that I'd like to start. So I have 5 going on right now. But they're all different levels of things, and some of them are different materials. So while paint's drying on one, I'll move to the other one and start cutting stuff. And while I get to kind of a point where I can't do anything unless I go to the store, I'll work on the other one. So it's I kind of do this flowing around and shuffling checkers of dioramas as I work on them.
Nice. So it sounds like in your shop you have certain sections where you work on certain pieces, or do you like? It's an odd question, but just trying to get an idea how you work. Or do you like work with one in one space and you have another diorama in another space? Or
I'll usually I have a big table here I built out of plywood that's got a bunch of storage underneath it. It's 9 feet by 4 feet, and I'll usually work on one big thing, and then when I need to take a break, kind of move it to the back of the table, and then work on something smaller, and then usually have to constantly go back in and re-clean up my messes I've created, because by the time you get 2 weeks into that, you can't find any of your pieces.
right.
So constantly cleaning, constantly moving, but swapping things out. And sometimes I'll take a day and I'll literally just go through my whole shop and clean it all up so that I can find everything again.
I similar. I started buying, with the back to school stuff. They have all those like clear bins, like the larger ones.
Thanks, Adam.
So I've been buying those, and I've been dropping like the little props of stuff that I work in, or if I have little cuts of foam or something, and I'll label those and stack them and put them away if I go to work on something else. But yeah, the organization is key, especially like when you start getting up to your caliber and you're working on a bunch of different ones. There's not just the skill of building; there's a skill of organization and stuff like that come into play.
Yeah, I've got my stuff organized kind of like by how often I use it. So it's not necessarily like, it's kind of like I've got a drawer full of nothing but glue, a drawer full of nothing but paint, a drawer full of nothing but sculpting and brushes. And then like I have a drawer full of like big tools that I only need to pull out every once in a while. I have a tray of stuff I'm using all the time sitting right here. Actually, I can show you guys if you want.
Yeah.
This is my tray of stuff that's usually always in use. As you can see, it's a big pile of stuff, but we've got...
I'm going to make you big real quick.
Okay.
Why is it not making you big? There he is.
So, yeah, there's... I've got drill bits, calipers, compasses, cutting tools, and then some pens and sewing needle pins that I use to hold the foam together. Super glue and super glue accelerator. And then... a bunch of different screwdriver heads and scissors, some bigger hand tools. That is a rubber, sorry, trying to find my camera here. There, rubber sanding block and some pliers and some clamps I use to hold things together while they're gluing. My little miter box and a piece of foam with push pins in it, and a rasp file and a little, the second pair of hands. So I've usually got those sitting there so I can just grab, what I need and just get to it right away.
Nice.
So everything else is in a big tool chest over there.
Yeah, that keeps it from being on the desk and everywhere, right? Which I honestly have operated like that for so long. It's like, where'd it roll off to? Or like your little, aluminum foil ball that you'll lose quite often. You just have to go buy make another one or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So is that what you guys are using that for rock texture, right?
I will, depending I've gotten to the point where I'll do multiple textures. A lot of times I'll start out with the base texture using that because I have it in my tray now. And then I'll go to 796 Studios, turn me on to this synthetic detail brush. And I'll make some impressions with that. And then I may use a rock. I may use like the spray can texture and sand that down a little bit for rock texture. I guess it depends on the look, right? But there's multiple things. But I think a lot of people are using the aluminum foil ball.
So I do similar things. I've actually never used the aluminum foil ball, but the concepts are essentially the same. I'll actually have rocks right here, and I will go. This one is a geode, and this one is a quartz rock. And I actually got this quartz rock from the Valley of the Kings when I went to Egypt, where all the pharaohs are buried. when I went to Egypt, I picked this up off the ground in the Valley of the Kings. So this is a quartz from the Valley of the Kings. So I do some of my texture with rocks from Pharaoh's tombs.
That's pretty
Um,
cool.
just a weird thing that I just have it back here with some little collectibles and things I've kept. And this is, I forgot the name of this type of stone, but this is I use this all the time because it's not super sharp. And I actually use this for the texture on the clock tower you have in the background. You see there's little like random indentions.
Yeah.
That's this. And I went tap, tap, and I just kept turning it and tapping. And what I try to do to make every single block look different is I won't let this cross one of my lines. Because if I let it cross the line, you can get a rub mark that goes across them. And it looks like I did it intentionally. So I'll stick them, I'll make sure I'm staying inside the lines so that each stone is different and there's no pattern crossover. And to get them to look like they're worn down from rain and snow and like weather, I'll use different things, but like I'll take the side of my knife here where it's rounded, and I'll just push and rub it a little bit and just go, and I'll pick a direction, either left to right or top to bottom, and it looks like they were hewn by like a chisel and then worn down by rain.
I've kind of wondered how you got in that effect. That's really cool.
That's how I did the texture on the clock tower, yeah. So quartz rock, side of a knife.
So I want to come back to this real quick. So Laser Pants says all your dioramas are cursed.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, you could say that. No, that was an amazing trip, and I have all kinds of cool things. I have coral from the Red Sea and stuff like that. But honestly, I just have it because it works great because the angle it's at. That I didn't intend to do that because it was from Egypt. I had it in my bathroom forever, and I was like, yeah, this probably work, and so I just left it out here.
That's a cool story though, and you got a little story behind every impression in a piece of artwork somewhere, right? That's cool.
Yeah.
Yes, that's some interesting tools, and I think some questions came up about it, and it raised a question in my mind. So the accelerant, which I've known about, but do you actually buy that, or are you making your own accelerant for the CA glue? Is it CA glue? Is that what it is?
I'm living the cyanoacrylate. Yeah. That's all. I came up with that phrase in my head one day. I'm like, I got to put that on a t-shirt. But yeah, I buy it. It's those little dark brown canisters. Those dark brown tinted. Looks like a beer bottle almost, but it's plastic. You can get them at hobby shops in the front. And it's, oh my goodness, this like is life changing. So actually, I can show you real quick. So it works amazingly well, and I actually take it out of the brown bottle and put it in this clear shampoo spray bottle I got at Walmart because from what I understand, the brown bottles actually will evaporate the chemical out of the plastic through the plastic. And so I switched to this plastic. It's a different type of plastic, and it won't let it do that. So liquid lasts slightly longer.
That's interesting. They do that. Maybe that's a marketing thing or a sales thing.
Maybe, I don't know. So, but it's again, these are all things that I've just picked up from watching weird random videos or reading a random book or something I saw in a behind the scenes video somewhere one time. But I don't know if you guys have seen this. I learned this on a cosplay video years ago. I was watching somebody put together some cosplay pieces for I forgot what it was. And they showed this, and that's why I always encourage people, don't just watch how to make diorama videos. Watch anything you're into that is a how to make, and you might learn something you could apply to dioramas. Most of what I've learned that I've used is not from making diorama videos. It's like a cosplay video or a metal melting video or a woodworking video. A lot of the ways that I cut the foam down is woodworking techniques applied to a hot wire cutter. So stuff like that. But this is expanded foam board. It's basically like a type of PVC board.
Okay.
So super glue on one side, and if I spray the other side with accelerant, so there's your accelerant, there's your super glue. You just hold it like that. Instantly bonded.
Oh wow. Okay.
And
there
now
you go, guys.
I actually have to break it apart. So it helps me work really, really fast when I'm working with stuff that I can use super glue on.
So that's the first live tutorial on the show. So thank you, Jordan. Also, I forgot to mention this earlier, and whenever I saw the first, I just realized today is actually the anniversary of your YouTube channel. So happy birthday, Oilers Workshop YouTube channel.
Happy YouTube channel 1 year anniversary. Today is exactly the first day that I uploaded my first video, which is actually a video on how to line a leather bracelet with leather. So if you scroll all the way down, it was a test video. I posted it, but today was the day last year. So
awesome. And so it's great to have you on your YouTube anniversary on YouTube Live.
Yeah, that just worked out. So cool.
Well, that was cool. So honestly, when I was thinking, I thought you would have glued them together and sprayed the accelerant around, like, whatever weld seam there would have been. So we actually sprayed on the opposite side of the piece. So that's actually, I learned something tonight. So thank you very much.
Sure. It's one of those super glue is one of those things. If you add glue to both sides, it actually takes longer to bond. If you add it to one side, it's quicker. If you add accelerant to one side and slap it together, it's almost instant. So it's really cool, like learning all the different ways the chemicals actually function on a molecular level, because it can actually help you with all kinds of weird little things.
Bat Force Grump just showed up. What's up, Bat Force? I was rubbing the Bat Force shirt. That wasn't towards you or anything sexual to anybody, I promise, besides Bat Force Grumps. All right.
Bat Force Radio or Bat Force?
Oh, Bat Force Grumps, but this is for Bat Force Radio.
Okay, yeah. What's up, guys? They talked about me a long time ago with another photographer. Those are guys who were pretty nice.
All right. So it's really cool. Like the organization I was saying earlier, like it goes into the way you're able to flow and build and be successful in a timeline, right? When you're starting to work on big builds, which at this point you're known for the large detailed builds, like organization around how you work is key. And I think that's just one of the things that I just wanted to focus on real quick, with maybe, people just getting into it. There's more into it than just a skill. It's great to have the skill, but you have to plan, out what you're doing, at least to a point. There's creativity, but to a point where you have a tool set that you want to use. You're not always rushing to get something, and you have it easily available. And obviously you displayed that. One thing also that I saw at the very end was extra pair of hands. I forget what those things are actually called, but that's actually cool. And I never thought about having that near me, but I could think of a bunch of reasons why I should have something like that near me.
Yeah, I don't actually use this that often, but when I need it, I'm usually got something drying in this hand, and I'm like, so I leave it there so I can grab it quick. But yeah, it is very helpful. It comes with the little alligator clamps, right? And you can just, if you can hold something there, and you can use it for soldering if you're going to do the wiring or holding something very fine and gluing or whatever. They're super life-saving when you need them, for sure.
And that's your monocle that you wear out?
Yes. My bowler hat's up there and my costume. I have it on.
Yeah, what's up, Plasty? I was talking about you earlier. Thanks for chopping up the giveaway video. Appreciate that very much, sir. Cool. Well, so that's some of your side tools. I wanted to also talk about some of the tools that maybe more unique to your style of things, besides like haunted rocks or anything like that. Something people may not use that often. And I think we talked about one earlier, and it was the miter box. And it was one of the first things I noticed you were using, and I immediately went and got, and it changed how I work on small pieces of wood structures and stuff like that. There's a big miter box. There you go. 2 miter box sets there.
So this is the one that's really helpful, right? That you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's a pretty inexpensive tool. I mean, you can get them more expensive, but you can also get them relatively cheap, like under $20. Yeah. And it's going to be a game changer, right? For, how accurate you can get your angles and cut wood and stuff like that.
Yeah. It all the time. It lets you to, if you guys don't know, you can set the blade at an angle and it holds it for you at an angle, and you can saw at that angle, get a perfect 45. You look at my clock tower time-lapse video, when I'm assembling the face of the clock, I'm cutting balsa wood with this and or basswood and sticking it inside the frame and cutting the corners so they have a perfect 45-degree angle. And if you don't have this, you're likely not to do that, and then you're going to be standing, and then you'll cut too much off, and then you'll throw the piece across the room because you'll be mad that it doesn't fit.
Right. So you're going to save yourself some stress and headache, plus have really clean cuts.
Yeah.
If anything, yeah, check that piece out. That, like I said, that was one of the first things I picked up from you, and now is like one of my. It's sitting in my tray too. That's one of the things I, most use, and it also introduced my thinking into using not just foam, right? Using, all these different other type of materials, which you're well known for, right? You just pulled out a piece of expanded foam, right? I don't know if anybody's really working with that. They may be, right? But you're working with different materials, not just foam, right? Experimenting and stuff like that. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I am a big fan of learning to do as much as you can with any one material or any one tool. So if somebody's new to like foam, I wouldn't encourage them to just immediately drop foam and go somewhere else. Like learn everything you can, because there's some guys out there that do things with only foam or almost 100% foam that are incredible, and I wouldn't guess is all foam. Sage JDG, some of his stuff, like I'm surprised. I'm like, oh, that's foam. Wow, great job. It's Al Figures. He does tons, like so much out of foam, and I'm always like, oh wow, I didn't realize that was just foam. So there is a lot you can do if you take the time to try, which I've learned a lot doing that. But once you feel like you've kind of learned everything you can with a certain material, that's where I start to try new stuff. When I'm like, I don't know if I can do this as good as I want with that. So yeah, I use you know what? Let me see if I can flip my camera around really quick, and I can. Whoops, that's not the right one. Let me see if I can show you. It doesn't want to let me. I show you some of the materials. No, it doesn't. Okay, well, I'll pick you up. But so I use all kinds of materials. I don't know if you guys can see that. This is just full of scrap pieces of like rectangular stuff. So there's corrugated cardboard like we all use. There's corkboard. There's MDF, which is medium density fiberboard. There is all kinds of plastic sheeting. Like these are just things I've saved that I'm like trying to figure out how I can use someday. There's all kinds of little pieces of sheet material, different thicknesses of poster board and cardboard. I've got all this spare foam cutoffs over here. That's just stuff that is I can use for something later. Different types of foam. I save styrofoam out of the dumpster all the time.
Dumpster diving for foam. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And I've got a sheet plastic and acrylic sheet and mesh and wood and different types of sheet metal, copper. There's a whole stack of comic book backer boards, which is an excellent piece of flat material if you need something cheap. And Star Marvel, I saw his comment, Styrene. Styrene is a life-changing material. If you don't have that, this is all pieces of styrene from packaging, wire, mesh, different types of baling wire, cardboard tubes, collagen containers, because I'm going to use these sometime down the road for some type of detail in a piece. But yeah, everything. So, and I've got piles of different size densities and thicknesses of cardboard all over the place. And anything that I think I might be able to use, I'll just set aside if I have space for it. And then I have it, so I can go, oh, maybe this will work, and I can try that new material. So, and I have that's just the flat materials. I've got boxes of nuts and bolts and broken pieces of plastic and screws and gears and everything over here.
Man, that's a shop where you can just go in and just start making anything, huh? You get all the materials right there.
That was what I wanted, so I can just grab stuff and go.
Right. Awesome. So we were kind of talking about the the clock tower earlier. Now that we're in the materials, what I know you got a time lapse and you got some Patreon, videos around it. But can you talk about some of the materials you used in that build?
The clock tower?
Yeah, the clock tower.
Yeah, so the whole body of the clock tower is all foam. That's all normal XPS pink insulation foam that most of us are used to in the States. I know it's different overseas. For some people, they have a different color or a different density. That's like 99% of it. The clock face, the frame of that, is made out of the expanded foam board that I was talking about, and the window frames for the stained glass windows are also made out of expanded foam board, and I added detail using poster board. See if I can. No, I don't have a piece of it, but where I would cut linear pieces of expanded foam board at like 5/8 of an inch or 3/8 of an inch, and I would bend them into shape and super glue them with that method I just showed you. Right. And then where they would abut and there was seams, I cut little tiny thin strips of poster board, and poster board can kind of bend when it's that thin, and I glued it flat as an added layer of detail. Like you won't even know it's there unless you're like this close, but it hides the seams and gaps and looks like it's molded metal, when you're done. So layered that, and then there's two sides to those windows, the stained glass frames. So I made one side, and then I had to make a mirror image of it. And in between those two side frames is a sheet of plexiglass on each side. I like using plexiglass because it's so thick. It just gives the illusion of depth. Sometimes you don't need it, just using a thin sheet of something is fine too. But for this, I wanted it to be really heavy duty because it was going to hold some weight on it. So that's 1/8 of an inch thick plexiglass that I cut and shaped to the shape of the frame. And then in between that, I've shown this on a couple other things before, and I have instructions for this on my I think it's part 2 of my Batcave, how I made the Batcave video series. It's the same way that I made the screens for the Bat computer.
Okay.
So this is the stained glass window.
Beautiful.
You see what that is?
Transparency?
It's overhead transparency, just like in school.
Yeah.
You put that down and project it. So I was trying to come up with a way to make something look like glass where I didn't have to individually paint anything. So I drew all of this in Photoshop, all of the frame pieces, and I made the files the size that I needed them at. And I made sure to design the sections of the window so that they were smaller than 8.5 by 11, so that they could be printed onto a sheet of overhead projection. Awesome. And so I designed those files that way, and I had them printed, and you print a mirror image so that you can overlap them, one facing one way, one facing the other, because you get a flat side, and then you get a glossy side, and you want the glossy sides out. And you do that so that you can have a perfectly symmetrical looking image all the way through that shines light through. And then you can take a piece of vellum. I recommend vellum instead of paper. Paper is too fibrous for me. I mean, it looks good too, but like if you can use vellum, which is this, you can see that the hello camera light comes through it. And it's used for drafting and tracing, and they use it to like in Iron Man #1 when he's drawing out the plans for the first suit in the cave. He's got each piece drawn on a separate piece of vellum, and then he smashes them down, and you see the whole suit. Remember that?
Yeah.
So that's vellum, and you can buy this at Office Depot. And so when you put a piece of vellum in between the sheets, you can see the actual color. So it's really dim when there's no sheet and it doesn't look right. But as soon as you put the vellum in there, it brightens right up. And then you can still shine light through it.
Beautiful.
So that's the same way I did the screens on the Bat computer. So they would light up really bright and even and sharp. And that's the way I did the stained glass windows.
Yeah, so the vellum diffuses the light and also helps with the opacity of the light coming through. That's beautiful. I never would have thought about doing that.
That took months of thinking through. So just trying to that's where you have to get innovative. You got like, how do I do this? You know, and you start coming up with a bunch of terrible ideas until you finally get to one that might work. And then you go
Fail
to
until success, right?
then you go spend hundreds of dollars at Office Depot buying materials and realizing that $90 worth of it is trash.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that, because, you know, a lot of people, that's probably the most recent thing they've seen from you. But as Star Marvel was just saying, he's looking back at it and his mouth is wide open. As you were telling that story, I realized my mouth was wide open just listening to you in awe. So a lot of people, you know, this being your recent piece of just like, you know, really, you know, some people seeing you for the first time, others just even more amazed at your skill, just, you know, seeing how you put this together, like the magic, or, you know, the steps behind the magic, right, being unveiled here is just it's awesome.
It's a lot of fun. Like I said before, like I spent so much of my growing up watching, like I would buy DVDs of sci-fi film, mostly sci-fi films, or anything that had special effects in it, especially practical effects like ones made by hand, just so I could watch the extra features to try to figure out how they did stuff. So I have like almost all the DVDs I owned as a kid were so I could watch like how did they do that and try to figure it out. I think I've watched the Jurassic Park, how they made Jurassic Park documentary from like 1994 like 100 times, because there's all kinds of cool like materials and boxes in the background, and like how they made the, you know, the animatronic eye for the T-Rex. Like I love that stuff. So I would just obsess over that. And even if they never mentioned what it was made of, like it would still give you ideas, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I have a whole, I'm 35 years old. I probably look older in this lighting, but I've spent my entire life just, ever since I was 7, just looking up stuff like that for fun. And so, when I started getting serious about making stuff, a lot of those things started coming back to my mind. And then it really helps kind of inform how you might do something. So that's why I say I always encourage people, watch behind the scenes videos, watch anything you're interested in making. Don't just look up how to make a miniature this, how to make a miniature that, because you might get stuck in a little bit of a box that you don't need to be in. But if you go watch shows like how it's made, or how this is done, or metal melting videos or armor videos or whatever it is, you probably will pick things up that you can use in dioramas.
Right. Great tip. And you kind of opened up another can that I want to get into. So obviously you just don't do this. You're not doing dioramas full time now, but you are, and you're running your own small business, but you do something with your hands already. So it kind of flows, right? It feels
Yeah.
somewhat natural. You can tell that you're not, you know what to do with your hands, right? You know about measurements, you know about, you know, alignment and making things plumb, all this, right? Um, how much do you care to talk about that and how that relates to diorama making?
Like I said when we were chatting earlier, I could talk about anything forever. I'm
Well, how
very
much do you want to share publicly?
no, I can share whatever.
Okay.
I have no secrets. You know, like you know, I do have a. I'm just going to say with that in mind, I do have a Patreon, right? And I do have a YouTube, and I have an Instagram. And so I kind of filter what I say at what time. Not that I'm never going to share certain things with everybody, but what I say at what time, just to kind of thank people for you know, what they've done for me. And so like Patreon, I've got like big, long, detailed explanations of things as I'm doing it. But then I take that and I cut it down into something usable for a YouTube audience. And then Instagram gets to see all the beautiful finished products. So I'm not, you know, I'm never trying to like keep anything to myself. I'm happy to share. But when it comes to sharing it on platforms, I'm just kind of parsing it out according to who is where. So, you know, I'm never against hiding anything. And like I was saying to you earlier, if somebody wants to ask me a question on Instagram, as long as it's not like, how did you make the entire clock tower? That's not a question you can answer. But if it's something specific, like, hey, what glue do you use for this? I'll answer you right away, you know, not a problem. So I would always like, I'm never against that unless it's something that I maybe want to share in a video soon. I might tell you, hey, hold up, I'm about to do a video, but I'm not all about like keeping it to myself. You know, that's not really
My precious.
how I think. So with that in mind, yeah, I install window coverings for a living, and I have to repair them all the time. So yeah, you get to learn in doing that for a living, like what tools do what and how things might go together mechanically. And so, to be frank, and too, a lot of people look around and they go like, "Oh man, you make dioramas, you got a big shop." No, the shop is for my work. I just have sectioned off this space for me to work on hobby stuff. If I turn the camera over there, which I'm not going to show all that, but over 75% of this is just for my storing stuff for that. And I've happened to have be access to all of these tools because of that. And a lot of them I can buy because I will use them, so it's, a lot of this is only possible because of that. And so with that said, I've been doing that for over 12 years now, and you learn a lot about how tools work and how they function and how they should be used. And that definitely helps inform how you can, what's usable where on a diorama or on anything you're making. Like I have hammers and stuff I used to make armor before, I'm trying to think. I have so many different things. It's hard to narrow it down. But I was actually talking on the other stream I was on yesterday, and I don't know if he's still here, but I was talking about how one of the biggest things that's helped me, and I've heard some people comment on it before, with my ability to like lay out stuff, comes from I did architectural drafting and mechanical drafting in high school. So I started out doing hand drafting because it was something that I always loved because I love design, and of course, being obsessed with how movies are made and wanting to know how things are built. You like design, you like how things are made. Mm-hmm. So I did hand drafting. I did mechanical drafting, like parts and pieces and gears. So you learn how things fit together doing that. And then I did architectural drafting, and then I went to trade school for junior and senior year of high school. And they taught me how to use a 3D program called Rhinoceros 3D. That is a modeling program for boat designers. And it turned into something else. That's how it was designed. But I learned how to do 3D modeling. And so the drafting turned into the architectural, turned into 3D modeling, turned into understanding like shapes and how they relate to one another. And so that's kind of the only like formal training I've had. But I never went on to do a career in that. I tried drafting, but all of that stuff has kind of come together with everything else to help inform how I plan and plot out dioramas, how I do all the measuring and dimensionality and proportioning things. That all comes from that. But that was very helpful.
Yeah, it seems to make sense. And like I was saying before, it seems like you naturally know just from watching you work and stuff like that. You're very, used to the tools that you're using. And, what I was trying to get to is where you're at now and where you're trying to go to. So the next question is where you're trying to take that. Now I was trying to paint a story here. So if that came off weird, sorry. So that's what you're doing now. But obviously, looks like your heart and passion is in diorama building, and that's what you're building up to, right?
Yeah, and it's not necessarily just diorama building. It's really making. I'm just doing a lot of that now because I love it so much. But yeah, it's a transition thing. I would love to be able to do this 100% full time, but it takes time to work to that if you don't have a platform to be able to have the attention that you need to be able to have people access you for either the watching videos like YouTube or being able to purchase something or request a commission. So you have to build that, and that's why I had that update on my Instagram, and I was referencing you and Infinity Equation. Like, if you like somebody's stuff, subscribe, like their posts. Like, that's the least you can do to help promote them so they can get to where they want to be, and if they have a means to where you can donate to them, or if they have things for sale, go buy something, and so that is where I'm trying to build to, at least with some of my income. I'm not necessarily worried about it being all of it, but if I can reduce some of the physical load on my life and get away from the physical construction-based work that I do that is very tiring, I would love to do that. So that's my goal, is to get there, sooner rather than later and as much as possible. But I'm kind of letting it tell me what it needs to be. I'm not trying to control it or obsess over it, because I realize I can't control that. So I'm kind of letting it kind of form as I'm able to personally progress and letting it tell me what it wants to be,
Awesome. Yeah. And it seems like, you were talking about all the projects. It's not that you're not busy, right? Because obviously you're a busy guy. You probably got a lot of people coming to you wanting, builds from every different universe in the comic book land, as well as TV land or whatever, right? So you could stay busy with it, right?
Yeah, I can stay busy, and that's the thing. I have amazing commissioners. I have a list of commissioners who want stuff from me, and they've been very patient, because every time I give them a projected time, it seems to take twice as long. as I project out, like, oh yeah, maybe we can do this in 3 or 4 months, and then 8 months later, here's your piece, because I have to roll with the punches of life. But yeah, there's a lot of interest out there, and I very thank all of you for coming and watching with High School Creations and supporting his channel. Because I love everything everybody else does too, like High School and Mike and Stephen Star Marvel is in the chat and 796 Studios. I see all your guys' stuff too, and I think we're all kind of trying to do the same thing as much as we can, whether enjoy the hobby or build off of it. But with my work and in line with that, I have a lot that I can do. And so I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for all the people watching and all the people that contact me. I just got a message yesterday. This person sent me like 7 pictures of things from like 2 years ago, and they're like, "I'd like to buy this, 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 and this," and I'm like, "Well, thank you, but those are gone a long time ago, and that represents almost 2 years of work to try to do all that for you." So people reach out, and I appreciate it, but I had to put on my profile that I just can't accept commissions until next year because I'm trying to keep the promises I've already made. So,
right, yeah, it's first one, first out, right? You don't speed anybody up. I mean, there's cases where you do, but well, that's cool. And I think one of the first pieces that I distinctly remember was it was an older space corridor. I don't know when that was built, but there's a few pictures floating around out there. And when I first saw it, I was like, wow, it looks like a set to an old movie. But no, that was one of your diorama. I think you had your hand in there around the bend. And it wasn't just a straight corridor, right? There was a slight bend to it. It just looked, it was so real. And it caught me immediately. I was like, this guy is crazy. This is awesome. And
the blue one, is that the one you're talking about?
I don't think it was it blue?
It's blue and gray with a yellow hexagonal center floor. I don't know. There's a few different types of things.
This one was more like a corridor, but it looked like it was bent. It wasn't. When you say
that's
blue and
the
gray,
only
I think
one that's
your
bent
most
that
recent.
I could think of. So maybe
that
the
must
lighting made it look kind of gray. I don't know.
For some reason, I was thinking gray and red, but maybe I'm thinking of a Star Trek.
I'd like to get back to is just literally just making what I want, because I'm working mostly what you're seeing from me is stuff I'm making for people. That is a version of what we work together, and I'm getting to kind of put my spin on what they want. But I would like to get back to where I am just making only what I want and selling that and taking some commissions. And that was an example of that. I wanted to do a hallway that looked real, so I put a bend in it. That's exactly why I did that. I wanted it to be a trick of the eye. And that all the walls and floor of that are foam. And that's all. The ceiling is that's a combination of a bunch of materials. Foam board, the poster board from Walmart. I did the base structure out of that and then added a bunch of details to it and put the lighting in it. And that diorama actually ended up with Dark Side Since 77, who's now Psychic Studios.
Oh, okay.
Jeff LeBaron.
I know.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No, that was me.
No, I was talking to him a lot when he was doing toy photography. We first chit-chatted when he first joined Instagram. And so I had been chit-chatting with him ever since he first joined, and he went from like 10 followers to 12,000 followers in a couple of years because of his toy photography. And so I sent it to him because I just wanted to see what he would do with it with photography. And so if you go to his page, it's spelled Psychic Studios, SYKIX Studios, and he has a picture of that hallway with black suit Spider-Man hanging from the ceiling. And he's got another one with, I think, Wolverine running down the hallway. But he's also told me that it's kind of falling apart because the way that I built the roof was like an experimental thing. It's kind of like in shambles now, apparently. But I love, that's a perfect example of my love of sci-fi. I love making science fiction stuff. And so a lot of me went into that. So it wasn't so much a commission, because it wasn't. It was just something I made and shipped to him. But that's a lot of me in that piece. So I appreciate the compliment on that, because I feel like that best represents like what I love.
You could tell. I mean, it's definitely different, and the perspective was awesome. And the sci-fi thing is, something that I've seen that obviously you're big into sci-fi and set building and stuff like that. And you're Star Wars stuff like that is a big inspiration. But the way you build it, right, just is, especially your recent piece, right? The way you're building these sci-fi dioramas is just incredible. The layering, the detail, it's just not seen on a lot of other sci-fi builds.
Yeah,
So just wanted to call that out.
Yeah, thank you. I love to make things so you're constantly looking around and finding something new if possible.
Yes.
So I don't know how much you guys in the chat or you like I said, I've watched lots of behind the scenes stuff, but some of my favorite creators ever in the film industry are the concept designers. Doug Chang has been with Lucasfilm forever. Like the Mandalorian, like he did all the concept design for that, like most of it. But he's been with Lucasfilm ever since before the prequels. And in the original trilogy, one of my favorite concept designers is Joe Johnston. You know who Joe Johnston is?
I don't.
So, do you like Boba Fett?
Yeah.
He designed Boba Fett's armor.
Maybe I should know that. Yeah.
Most people don't. So that's why I like to share it every chance I get, because I'm a big Joe Johnston fan. He also is the guy who directed Captain America: The First Avenger. He directed The Rocketeer, and he designed the AT-AT.
Dang. You gotta look this guy up.
So he's one of my favorite creators because of all the things he's created. Like, they look like things I would have imagined as a kid, And so a lot of like the things that I like are very informed by that, as well as Luc Besson, who directed and wrote The Fifth Element, and all of the design. I was reading a book called How Star Wars Conquered the Universe. It's the whole history of Lucasfilm and everything. And George Lucas took his original draft script for Star Wars to a film festival in France. And when Luc Besson was like in school at film school in like 1975, he had Luc Besson, the director of The Fifth Element, when he was a kid, rewrite Star Wars for him as like a second draft. And Luc Besson was writing The Fifth Element in 1975. He was starting writing The Fifth Element because it was a project he'd wanted to do his whole life, and all these ideas from French sci-fi comic books. And so he got to make it eventually, and whenever that came out in 1997, I think, The Fifth Element. And you can see the love. Like, you can always tell when a creator loves what they're doing when you watch that film. Everything is so intentional and beautifully designed, and the connections to other things that I love, like Star Wars, are all there. And so I love stuff like that, looking into stuff like that, and a lot of the choices I make and things that I buy reflect a lot of that.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm at the knowledge bombs all over the place.
That audiobook is amazing, by the way. It's like 23 hours for How Star Wars Conquered the Universe, and you get to learn everything from where Chewbacca's name came from to like things like that, about weird connections between Star Wars and other things and designers and all kinds of crazy stuff.
I'm a fan of audiobooks. That'll be one I'll have to check out. Cool. So what got you into, so obviously high school, you talked about you were in, technical design, 3D design. What about actually like artistry, painting, drawing, stuff like that? Were you doing that as a kid in high school? And
I have to give that to my mom and dad. I come from a family of creative people on both sides who are always doing something. So my mom, she was a professional singer, and she's also does abstract art. And my dad is a jazz musician who liked to like build decking and gardens and stuff like that. And so I was in a house where I was always encouraged, draw, paint, do something. Here's a bunch of stuff, go nuts, So a lot of that comes from them and being in an environment where they were doing it too. Mm-hmm. So honestly, I'm actually just remembering this now, but before I was doing miniatures, my dad passed away when I was 24, but a few years before that, he was actually hoping to break into the architectural model world. And he had bought some foam board from Walmart and was making little like gazebos out of foam just to show as like, look what I can do. My dad was doing it before me. But I remember making some of those with him. And so I was around people who were always like wanting to do that. My mom would hand me chalk chalk sticks and wax stuff and pieces of paper. She has just stacks and stacks of like weird birds that I drew and robot heads and stuff when I was a kid.
That's awesome. Cool. It's always good to hear, kind of, where you get your, creative background. It's good to hear that, family fostered and grew that and developed it, in-house for you. That's awesome. So between, you were talking about high school and today, and not to talk about age, but you said you're 35. I'm 37, so both of our ages are out there. There's kind of a gap. What was going on in there? Were you doing anything creative? Do you have other hobbies outside
I
of
have
diorama
too many
building?
hobbies. Like, don't get my wife on here because she'll be like, "You need to quit half of them." You said a gap in there. What do you like? The gap between time?
Well,
Is that
just like what you're doing creatively. Like
oh,
you're talking about 3D stuff and CAD in high school, and now you're in dioramas. Were you doing? You talked about metal work, right? Seems like you're into some metal work.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. That is
Yeah.
awesome.
So I made this. I remember when the Mandalorian came out. I was like, "Hey, Jon Favreau stole my idea." No, but I did this bare metal helmet. So I like I before I was doing miniatures, I've always picked something to like hyper focus on that I liked, and then sometimes if I get bored with it, I'll move on, or if I've hit a wall financially or creatively, I move on from that. But this is something I was doing. I was getting into metalworking, and this is. Have you seen the program Pepakura?
No.
A lot of the cosplayers use it. So they'll go into a 3D program and model their armor or model a piece.
Okay.
And then Pepacure, it's a free program. It's awesome. It'll unfold your design so you can print it onto something two-dimensional.
Wait,
If
yeah,
you,
I think I have seen that. I just didn't realize what the name. So you can do that for a lot of the cosplay armor for like foam and stuff like that. Okay.
so
Yeah.
that's what I did. I took this into Rhinoceros, the program I was talking about earlier, and I measured my big fat head and I built this around it. I do have a giant head, by the way. I built this around it, and then I printed a flattened pattern onto cardstock, and I traced it onto metal. I went to Harbor Freight Tools, and I bought the cheapest junky welder they had because I didn't know anything about welding at the time. And I went nuts. And there's a place in Reno. I think it's closed down and moved now, but it's called the Generator. It's a warehouse where artists can go use like large tool facility stuff for free. So that's before I had any of this. And they had a guy. They have in-house artists who work in the booths. It's literally a giant warehouse, like I don't know, like 12,000 square feet, where they have resident artists who have booths, and their whole philosophy is if you work there, you have to share. So I went in there, and there's a guy there that makes medieval armor replica, and he let me borrow his hammers and his pounding stumps and stuff. And he even was going to let me use his big forge welder, but I was like scared of it. I'm like, I'm going to die touch this. But he let me use his hammers, and they have an English wheel. I don't know if you're familiar with metalworking, but it's like a clamp system with two metal wheels, and you use it to smooth out your hammer marks. So I spent like an evening in there molding the dome. I did everything else here in my little workshop, all the flat pieces, but the dome is actually two pieces. Yeah, you can't see it underneath, but it's two pieces, and so it's all two-dimensional pieces. I traced on the metal. I cut out with a metal snips, and then I shaped using hammers, and then I welded it together with a cheap welder. So
and you still have all your fingers and stuff.
I do. I've got all kinds of crazy cuts I could talk about. All kinds of things my wife wouldn't want to know that I did. Let me grab another thing.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Forged in Fire. I don't know if you've ever seen that show, that series on Netflix.
Show.
Yeah, I like that show a lot.
So this is another thing when I was
thinking
to, if I can get it on. It doesn't look cool unless I'm wearing it. So, but yeah, I was fiddling. This also comes from the whole steampunk thing. Steampunk was another hobby I had before that, where I was making wearable art and different pieces I sold. If you go to my Etsy store that I'm not putting anything on, and look at the history of things sold, you can see some of the pieces that I've made that are like steampunk armbands. So this is something that I made.
Oh, that's cool.
It's an Infinity Gauntlet I made out of brass.
Wow. Oh, and you got some etching detail in there too.
Yep, that's again, all these little things I picked up along the way are actually helping with dioramas. So I use sheet aluminum sometimes on my dioramas, and I'll fold it and I'll use that. And I learned how to do sheet metal work from doing all this basic sheet metal work. And then this is these are designs that I engraved using.
Let me make you big. Sorry.
Electrolysis. So where I actually sprayed. What's it called? It's like a plastic dip. I sprayed plastic dip on this, which is the thing you dip tools in to put a rubber handle on them. Cosplayers use it all the time to, again, cosplay video I learned this from, to cover their foam so they can paint the foam evenly and it won't peel off. So I covered this in plastic dip, and then I literally drew on the pattern, and then I used a knife and I cut it out so that the part that I didn't want darkened was covered by rubber. And then I got batteries and wire and hooked it up to 24 volts. And you dip a little piece of rag in salt water and you clip it to the alligator clips and run it over it. And it eats away at the metal, the exposed metal.
Oh, wow.
And so it actually sinks in just a little bit and changes the color. And then you peel it off and you've got your etched metal. So, again, I didn't know any of that electrical stuff until I figured out how to do this. And then I watched 10,000 electrical videos. And now I know how to do lighting for dioramas, you know. So it's what this is like a perfect example of kind of how other things can inform what you might do somewhere else.
All right. Well, don't do any snapping or anything. We got a show to do. Most likely one of us is going away. That's awesome.
Now if I can get it off. Be like Thanos, I'm gonna have to go do gardening with one hand.
Yeah, so it's cool how all roads, you know, kind of has led to this particular new hobby, and how all the things have, you know, come together and like make sense, and that's awesome. Great story. Here's going to be a few kind of interview type questions. And you kind of maybe answer some of these, but so and maybe, you know, if these are just too odd, that's fine, don't answer it. But what types of art and culture are you into, you know, besides the diorama stuff and the metalworking? Like where do you pull your inspirations from outside of, you know, comic books and sci-fi?
Is that from you or from Instagram? Just curious.
Oh, this is from me.
Okay. I was just gonna say thanks to whoever asked. So thank you, Mike. No. Thank you, High School Creations. So arts and culture. That's the problem, is I like too many things.
Well, that's a fair answer, because, like, you know, inspiration comes from just about anywhere. But I didn't know if, like, you purposely go out and look for things, or things just come to you, or, you know, whatever.
You're just talking about things I like that don't relate to dioramas and stuff necessarily, or anything.
Yeah, let's talk about stuff outside of dioramas.
So if I kind of subtract from the equation all my nerd stuff and project stuff and geek stuff, I love Japanese art. I love Art Nouveau and Art Deco stuff. So like that's the turn of the century in like the 20s and 30s. One of my favorite artists is Alphonse Mucha, and you've seen there's a lot of modern comic book covers that rip off his art, where you see like the lady standing in like a position, and then there's like a circle, and then like beautiful patterns, and her hair kind of flows into it. That's Art Nouveau, Alphonse Mucha stuff that he invented, and I love stuff like that. And I love Art Deco, which is informed a lot of formed a lot of the steampunk stuff, or diesel punk stuff, not steampunk, and like the Empire State Building, the top of that is considered Art Deco. The shapes where you get these sort of curves coming into each other, and then like splayed out, sort of like a shine, look like rays of sunlight. You know, that kind of stuff. I love those styles and those designs. You saw that top of the Empire State Building I made for DJM Animations. I love that stuff. So when he asked me to do that, I was like, yes, because I love Art Deco and that period of time. And you know, when they would design stuff like that, and like Victorian design, of course, because of steampunk. Something about it seems to be I'm attracted to periods of time, or not even just periods of time, even modern artists, where you can tell the goal is not to just make money, and the goal is not to market. The goal is just to enjoy what you're doing, and I feel like those periods in art really reflect that. And also you can even go back to like ancient times and see stuff like that. Like some of the stuff we saw when we were in Egypt was just breathtaking. You know, the styles of the way they would do hieroglyphs and the way they would design pillars.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have some art that my great grandfathers in England did on our wall in our living room, and one of my favorite pieces is one of my family did. It's a looks like a Chinese sailboat in the bay in London, or outside of London, and it's just beautiful, like big orange sails, and it's like it's at dusk, and so I just I don't know. I have very specific taste for specific reasons, and it usually is because I could tell the artist or the designer was just enjoying what they were doing. That's like
Right.
what I like, what I kind of gravitate to. So
Awesome. Thank you for answering that. Great answer. I like that. And that's definitely a specific like period that, you know, you can easily, if you go back to, you can see maybe some of that coming out in your design. So you can see some of the inspiration there. Um, Obviously, I know what kind of art you create. I'm looking through these questions that I have. Some of them I made up. Some of them are pulled from the internet just to
no,
have conversation. But
keep it going.
what does the art represent for you? Like when you build these pieces, like what is it? Is it representing like a specific period? Like for example, the clock tower, just to explain my question. Like when you're building, what are you looking to represent? Like you as an artist, or you, it looks like a lot of times you're going for, you know, exact detail. But I guess what I'm trying to say here is when you're building the pieces, what do you hold in mind? Is it like full detail, or are you trying to put your own spin on it? I think I know the answer to this, but
Um, well, I'm trying to think. I guess put myself in the mindset of myself. When I'm working on a piece like the Bat Cave or the Clock Tower, um, I talked about this a little bit yesterday too on another stream. Was I let the piece sometimes tell me what it wants to be? And I don't mean that literally, like you know, it's whispering or anything like creepy like that. I just mean like I get a nebulous idea in my head based on what if it's a commission, what the commissioner is expecting or wants, or like definite things that they're hoping for. And then I start to think of definite things I would like to do, and then I kind of just sculpt. I don't really know how to describe it because like that clock tower, I knew like the person who got it, Eric Studdard. If you don't follow him, he's got the clock tower. Um, he wanted the clock tower face, and he wanted a stained glass window for Batman. That's what he asked for, and he did not want something that big originally. But I was like, if I'm going to make a clock tower, and I'm going to make a stained glass window, I need this, and it's going to be the first one of both that I ever do. I want this to be really neat. You know, I want to make it as cool as I can possibly think of, at least right now. You know, maybe later I would do it different. And he's like, okay, you know, that's how everybody. Like I told all my commissioners, I'm like, don't worry, we'll get to your piece and it'll be ridiculous. You know, I'll do something
right.
stupid that I probably shouldn't do because it'll take way too long. But that's kind of literally how I approach it. And like they tell me I want this, this, and this for sure, and I say, okay, are you okay with me doing this, this, and this? And they're like, yeah, you know. And we go back and forth a little bit, and then I just go, you know. And that clock tower, I just start building, and sometimes I don't realize how big it's going to be. And I just go, okay, well, if I think proportionally, like if the clock is going to be a clock tower, it needs to be at least twice the size of the figure, and it's 1/12 scale. And then he needs to have a platform to stand on in front of that, so that's got to come out. And then each floor in real life is at least 8 feet or 10 feet, depending on if it's a bottom floor or a normal floor. Again, that's something I know from architectural drafting. But if it's an older building, like an old church or a clock tower or something like that, the floors are going to be based on wanting to see it in a city center square. So then I go, okay, the floors probably need to be more like 12 or 14 feet to accommodate the weight and size. So then you add that up, and then you're all of a sudden you're at 67 inches, which is how tall
Right.
that is. And so that, like, then I go, okay, that's where I'm working backwards from. And then I'm like, okay, so what things, now that it's that big, what things need to be big enough or stand out enough to where they make sense proportionally? And then I add and subtract according to that. And then as I'm doing each piece, I have really no plan unless there was some kind of inspiration I had, and I just start carving. The corbels, the corner pieces that come off magnetically,
Mm-hmm.
that was something I just knew I wanted to do something magnetic, because if I wanted to ship it, it needed to be able to come off so the points didn't get crushed in shipping. So that was my only thing. So I just made a piece that was flat, and I just started cutting foam and building onto it and going. The picture you have in the background where there's the spiked pieces facing outwards,
Mm-hmm.
the sort of bat. Again, here's where that came from. He wanted a stained glass window for Batman. So I'm thinking bat. How do I do bat wings? And so if you look underneath that layer below that, you get wing shapes coming down with webbing for like bat skeleton wings. And then on the top, you have that sort of pointy shapes that is informed by like Batman's cloak, where you'd have, I'm drawing it visually in my fingers here, but the points of the cloak where you get the scallops.
Right.
And so those are reversed scallops inspired by Batman's cloak. And I didn't have that in mind when I started, but when I got there, I was like, this needs to be more than just straight lines.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, what about bat wings? And so I drew a shape, and then I cut it out of foam and I stuck it. I'm like, that looks good. So I cut 3 more, and just kept going. I just keep adding until it looks right.
Awesome. So I think the answer that to the question is, it is reality, right? You are building to what would be real in that scale. You're not, there are other artists that are trying to do like cell shading, but you're on the realism side. You want it to be realistic and to scale as much as possible.
Yes. So I told you before we started, I tend to ramble, so my apologies.
Oh no, but that's a great story. Like all those small details, just, you're talking about a piece, like it is a piece of art to me, but like it's a piece of art, hanging on the wall, and your whole thought process. So it's really engaging to hear that and hear the excitement, right, when you're talking about it.
The short answer is yes. I want it to look like it would exist and make sense, right? So all of that I just described is the process of doing that. So,
right. So when you're doing this and you're building, and I think all of us have been there. Do you ever get demotivated, or like you get to a point in a build and you like you just kind of lose that drive? How do you get back into that drive? What are the things? Do you like pause and go work on something else? Let me stop before I answer your question for you. But
no, you can. Well, you're a maker too, so I'm sure you know your version of the answer to all of these questions.
Yeah.
So please don't be afraid to tell me, because I'd love to hear. But yeah, I think you're asking that question because we all go through that. All of us, we'll get to it. It doesn't matter if we're making an origami box or we're making a clock tower. There may be a point where we're like, either we're tired or we feel like we're doing something repetitive that we're like, okay, I just want this to be done, or we need a break, or maybe it's just not going the way we thought it was going to go. Yeah, I've been there, man, many times, probably once on every piece, if not more. We get to a point where we're like, oh, I don't know what to do now, or how to proceed. And yeah, sometimes you just have to put it on the shelf for a week, or sometimes less, sometimes a little bit more, and do something else, and then the idea will come, or you'll go, okay, I know how to get over this hump. Yeah, you usually a break works, or a shifting. And it doesn't, like, if I'm working on a diorama piece, maybe I will shift over to an armor piece, or like make something out of leather, just to put my mind in a different creative space. And then an idea will come to me for the other thing, and I'll go, forget this, and I'll go back to that.
Yeah. And, I think that's a struggle that a lot of people ask about. And, especially back in season 1, it was always like, hey, what do you do when you get, lose kind of the drive in the middle of a piece? And, you know, it's going to be different for everybody, but you do want to step away. Like, just don't force yourself through something. This is, for me anyway, and it sounds like for you, it's a creative, you know, something you're going to put out there that represents you, right? And so pause, take a minute, come back to it. Like you're saying, you know, that's exactly what I do. I go work on something else, or I find a new tool and want to use it. Like recently I got the laser, and toying around was like, you like a kid with scissors, you're cutting everything. Like I was taking stuff out of the kitchen and like putting our initials on. It's like, I want to cut everything. I want to learn how deep it cuts, what I can cut. I quickly found out I can cut anything organic up to basically, you know, 1/4 inch. I can't cut metal or anything like that. Unfortunately, not with this one. But yeah, so I step away, and I, you know, it's fun to do that. And then I come back regenerated, like with all this new creative, you know, juice, and, you know, I jump back into it. So, yeah, I think we're on the same kind of wavelength there.
Love it. Yeah, I'd be doing that too, man. Get a new toy, you got to try everything out.
Right. What was this? This is okay. This is a question from the audience. Maybe it's about that time. Is there a tool machine you like to come to master in order to use it in your diorama craft? I'll let you go first.
Tool I would like to come to master. My own brain. Patience and endurance. Like if we're talking about anything being a tool that you use, definitely patience and endurance, because like we were just talking about, staying on task and staying focused. On a serious note, but on a lighter note, I would really love to get into more heat forming type tools and heat cutting tools. I have some over here that I do use, but I like materials that can be shaped live. That's just I'd love to have a laser cutter and like a really high quality like 3D printer. I have a, mediocre one over here, but I don't use it because I just don't have the time to set it up and do all that. But if I had the time, I would be using tools like that. But for me, I love to sculpt live. So I actually have a video my patrons got to see of how I did something for a current project I'm working on, where I set up essentially like a workbench for shaping. And again, I got the idea from watching a glass blowing show and doing metalworking, and how you can work with materials while they're hot. And so I did some material working with it hot, and I kind of discovered that I could create some really complex compound shapes and things doing that. And so I would like to get better at learning how to use my heat gun and hot cutting tools, and like vacuum form type tables and pieces, and using bucks. And with that said too, I do know how to do like basic mold making, but I'd like to get into the way more detailed of understanding how the chemicals interact so you can do different things. So mold making and heat forming, because they're very active and live, and they're very useful.
Yeah, so once you started talking about those, like it totally changed what I thought I wanted to master. But when you said your mind, well, you said brain, but I was thinking mind. I was like, I want to master my mind. But yeah, I still have tools that I've not mastered. So like the laser, the CNC, like those are still things that I'm training myself as I'm using them to master. And hopefully, because there's a lot more detail than just, cutting things, right? It's designing, it's the specs of the machine. Like if it breaks, like I want to learn how to possibly fix it, kind of like I did with the 3D printer. So I think I'm still, working on mastering the tools that I have.
Yeah.
Great question.
And also when you say mastering, I just wanted to say with what you just said, you want to maintain humility. If you think you've mastered something, you probably haven't. And overconfidence will usually be a problem for you later. And that of course applies to anything. But like if you're like, oh, I know how to use this. Oh, I got my finger off,
Right.
So, I would say that there's never really a mastery of anything. Other people might call someone a master, but I bet once you call that person a master, they'd probably say, oh no, I have a lot to learn. Like Da Vinci, master sculptor, he'd probably be like, oh no, there's a lot I could do that I haven't learned yet, So
wise man. Yeah, all right, we're getting philosophical in here now. Yeah, it's funny that we're talking about mastering, but I did sign up for masterclass, and I finally got from all the Instagram like little posts and stuff. I was like, it was Futura. Futura was on there, and I wanted to see more graffiti stuff. So I got
That's
into his master class, and dude, it was so worth it. I loved every minute of it. I think there could have been more, but I've met a new artist. Like I heard of Futura before, but not that deep. Now I follow him. He even said hey to me on Instagram. I'm like, yeah. So I'm
cool.
super excited about masterclass.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's a few of those I'd like to take too.
The second one I started, man, I can remember his name, but he's in architecture. I want to learn more about architecture because there's a direct line in what we do and how we build. And taking one building and designing to, the scale that we're working in is to know how that works. It just will help with the building process.
I just noticed we have 25 thumbs up and 38.7 people watching. Can we get some more thumbs up, guys?
Come on.
For high school?
Here we go. Yeah, Twin Malarkey, you're late. You got after class detention. Glass blowing is cool. There was also, was it Netflix? There was a glass blowing competition. I watched that. I think the first season. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Never suck in. Breathe in. Don't breathe in.
Yeah. No.
I like this. Yeah, I guess most crafters are ADHD. Yeah.
Type A personalities aren't typically creative because they're mad that things aren't working out their way very quickly. But people like that are crazy like us, we love to torture ourselves.
Allergic to. That's not good.
Oh, that stinks. You can become allergic to super glue if you use it so much that you it gets into your body a lot, like smelling
really?
it. Your finger. Yeah, so I've gotten a little bit more careful. But there has been people in the creative community that have developed allergies, and they have to wear like a full face covering respirator to even use super glue.
Was it like a lung type thing? What's the reactions?
It's some type of, I don't know the specifics, but from what I've seen, like they can't breathe it in or let it touch their eyes, or they have a really bad anaphylactic reaction.
Holy, I got to stop touching that stuff.
Yeah, well, my fingers get covered in all the time.
Yeah, that's what to say. I have no fingerprints for a day. Let's go.
Yeah.
Future is sick. All right, so what time is it? All right, we're about an hour and 30 minutes in. So let's roll into the IG questions. So we have some questions from Instagram, and these will have the names on them, so we know who to give credit for these questions. So thank you guys for these questions. Let me get rid of that comment real quick.
I hope they're easy.
Some of these are multiple choice. I don't know. It's interesting. So there's right or wrong answers, I guess. I'm just kidding. All right. So the first one comes from Star Marvel. Can you see those?
I can.
Man, what is that? A deuce?
What's that?
Is that a 22-ounce beer?
No. It's sparkling water.
Okay, there we go. I was like, wow, it's getting serious.
No, it's sparkling water. Have you ever used Warbler? If so, what are you? Oh, that's the. I know what it is. I have not used it, but I've always wanted to mess with it. That is definitely something I will get to, and you should try it and tell us what it's like because it's it's a heat forming material that I've seen the cosplayers use before. Or not? Is it heat forming material? I don't remember, but it's a very forgiving material that you can make all kinds of things out of and heat up and harden. Huh. And I just think I think that's what it is. And I've seen some people make some unbelievable details on wearable armor and stuff with it. Like you see those guys who do medieval knight replica stuff, and it looks like real metal and it's hammered, but it's all Warbler and EVA foam. So I would love to try to use it though, so I haven't.
So I noticed in a lot of the craft stores now they carry there's a whole section dedicated to that hobby. Is that the hard stuff that comes in the roll that you heat up with the heat gun? Or is that a different product? Maybe that's a question for Star Marvel.
It might be. There's probably a few products that are like that.
Yeah. It's interesting because I remember that what got me into this hobby was cosplay. I was making masks out of foam and stuff like that. So a lot of it wasn't even in hobby stores at that point, but now it's all over the place.
Got a pretty big following.
All right. Next question comes from Diorama Creator 1999. And this one is specific to building like villain hideouts and headquarters and stuff like that.
When will you make some villain hideout headquarters like Hydra, Advanced Idea Mechanics, generic Lumi villain spot? Thank you, Diorama Creator 1999. So part of this question probably like answered before. I'd love to get back to just making stuff I want to do without any guidelines. But there is some commissions that I have coming up that would probably qualify for what you're asking. So the current round of things that I'm working on, I'll probably be finishing up over the next 2 months. So you'll probably see updates from me into the year, beginning of next year, that have got some maybe some shady looking alleyways or some rundown warehouses. There's some commissions I'm building for some people that have stuff like that in it. So that'll be coming up.
Awesome. All right. Here comes from Diorama Boy. He was on the first episode of season 2. Actually, just picked up a diorama from Diorama Boy, or I received it today. It's pretty dope. But this question comes in from him.
He's awesome. And did he do his Welsh accent I told him to do when he was on?
Probably.
What diorama haven't you made yet that you would most like to attempt? That's a great question. I'm kind of working on one right now that I have always wanted to attempt. I've always wanted to do a snow themed diorama. Like it's all snow, like whether it's a building in the snow or a terrain in the snow, because I feel like there's a million ways you could do snow, but I've only seen 1 or 2 people do it in a way that I thought looked right to me or looked real. Because a lot of it, it looks good, but you can tell it's a diorama, and it suffices as a nice diorama piece or display piece. But I wanted to make something that looked really real, and so I can show you guys at the end of the stream what it is. You'll know right away when you see it. But I am making something that is going to be in a snow piece, and I have a very unique thing that I've come up with to hopefully make it look real. So snow-based is something that I'd really like to do.
Yeah, and those always look challenging to me, especially because it's almost, when you do snow, besides like the details underneath or maybe your buildings, it's a lot of the same colors, right? And so it's almost monochromatic. What's up, Terraformer and Bone Claw? What's going on?
Doomed.
All right. Few more questions here. Oh, Star Marvel. What's your favorite food?
I love questions like this. They're the kind of questions that I ask people. I'm like, what's your favorite color? My favorite food. My wife should answer this because she'd tell me right away. I have too many. I love ribeye steaks, man.
Oh,
ribeye. I love to take a ribeye steak. I love to cook too, so that's another hobby I have that I didn't mention earlier. And I play guitar, which is I haven't done in years because I don't have time. But I love to cook, and so I like to cook a really, really good ribeye steak. That's probably my favorite food at the moment. But I also really like chicken and waffles, and I made chicken and waffles for a friend's wedding. Cilantro cheddar waffles with paprika breaded chicken.
so is there going to be a YouTube channel of Cooking with Jordan?
There's too much competition out there. I forget that. So probably I'm gonna have to say steak and chicken and waffles right now. But he asked me tomorrow, I'll probably change my answer.
I'm getting hungry. And you said something too. You said you mentioned you play the guitar. I was thinking earlier, you had a household of just musicians, right? You had a mom that sung, your dad that played. So I was wondering if you played something.
Yep. Yeah. I did a little bit of a few instruments in high school. I tried drums. I tried bass. I played trumpet from like 6th grade to high school jazz band. But I ended up staying with guitar the longest. And so that's what I still have and play.
Yeah. I was in band. I played the French horn. I played from like junior high to high school. Won a few awards, like, as concert awards.
That's
and
cool.
Then The yeah, nerdy, right?
That's
All
up,
right.
friend. Hey, man, all right. Everybody's got to come from somewhere and have some goofy thing or thing that they did that they don't usually mention, like French horns.
All right. Last one is from Star Marvel. How'd you do the dock plate?
So, in the alleyway, I'm assuming you're talking about the big alley that I did, the dock plate. There's only two pieces of pre-made material in that diorama. That dock plate is one of them, and the door behind it is a rippled piece of plastic that I bought because I needed a bigger scale than what I could make myself. So I'll show you. Here, I'll be right back. I'll show you what it is.
All right, that's the show, guys. We'll catch you next week.
Hey, I'm coming back. The dock plate is made out of this.
Oh, wow. Is that actual metal?
Yep. So this is sheet aluminum that is rolled with the diamond plate on it. You can buy this on RC car parts websites. I don't remember the one I bought this from because it was like 4 years ago. But I bought 2 sheets of this and I still haven't even gone through one. I actually bought it just to do that dock plate. I tried coming up with methods by hand to make this for months, and I could not find one that I was happy with that worked at this scale that looked realistic enough. So I'm just like, I think I'm just going to have to get a pre-stamped material. And there's plastic ones out there. You can get styrene ones. This is aluminum. It's designed to make like bumpers for like RC rock crawlers.
Right.
And I just cut this and I used my flat nose pliers and bent it into shape and then modified it and painted it.
Wow. I saw that on your build and I always wondered where you got, because I've always gone through the aisles looking at the HO scale stuff. And I'm like, that just doesn't look to scale, but that looks to scale. I have to go check that out.
Yeah, actually, you got to look out too, because I found a lot of those websites that sell to scale stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're wrong.
Yeah.
Or unless it's like some European print or something of something that I'm not aware of. But this is it's scaled bigger than I would want it. That's what I think this is. I think on the site that I bought it from, it said is 1/8 scale.
Okay.
But it's not. It's actually 1/12 scale. It's perfect 1/12 scale.
Right.
And so some of the plastic ones, they say they're 1/12 scale, but they're actually like 1/36 scale. So you got to be careful about that.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I have to look for that stuff. It looks great. All right. That's all the IG questions. Thank you. Yeah, Plasty, thank you again. Yeah. Come on, guys. Let's get some likes here for Jordan.
31. Oh, wow. 31 likes. 36 likes, huh? Nice. That jumped up. Thanks, guys.
Cheap metal you're talking about looks nice. Yeah, you do want that. That stuff looks good. It just adds to the realism of it, if that's what you're trying to achieve, right?
Yeah. I am not against buying something pre-made if it's something that you can't make and it looks the best, There's artists, I don't know if you've seen them, that do finished in-frame diorama pieces, and some of those things they put in there are kit pieces. I have no problem with that personally, as if they're just trying to make a finished piece of art and they buy a pre-printed staircase that looks better, then what? Fine, no problem. Yeah. I try to do as much as I can by hand, but if that's a perfect example of where I was like, yeah, I can't figure out a good way. And I was wanting to make a metal roll press that would do this, but that's like weeks of work to make something like that. I mean, I could build it in 3D, the roll that would have the indents, and I could send it to a local CNC guy and have him cut it out of a billet for me and put it onto a sheet metal roller. I could do that, but I'm thinking to myself, how often am I going to need this? So it's like, it's easier to just buy a sheet.
Right. I like where it went though. It's like, well, I can kind of try to make that myself. And you thought about the entire process to make it yourself. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Because now, not to talk about myself again, but I think about the tools, not only like cutting stuff for the dioramas like windows, but what tools or jigs can I make using the CNC or the laser, right? This opens up a total different door that I just have to sit down and design and then test. It's just finding that time, right?
I have a jig for making pallets.
There you go. Little 1/12 scale pallets. That's awesome.
Yep. I made a little things where I could just plop the pieces in and drop the glue and let them dry.
Hey, all right. So cool. It's about 10:36. I'd say we roll into the giveaways. So who's ready to maybe win some toys, guys? We got 2 action figures. One is a legend from the, what was this wave? Oh, the Tri-Sentinel wave. And then we have the new Deluxe Black Series Jar Jar, which is a really cool figure. The articulation on that figure really shocked me.
Yeah, his elbows, the joints on those elbows look really a word I can't think of.
Articulated.
There you go. I was going to say rotary, but that's not the right.
Oh no, rigaways. It is. I'm not going to put the giveaway on the artist tonight because Jordan has something to offer too. So we're going to do spinny wheels, and what I'm going to do is, excuse me, we're just going to pick from the audience. If you guys are active in the chat, right? It says we have 34 people watching. Let me go look at the. Oh, I got to get into YouTube. 1 second, guys. Make sure my volume's off here. Hey, High School Creations is live. All right, let me grab the participant list here. Yeah, we have 9 people active in the chat. But so for you lurkers, I will take a name from Unparalleled Universe. If you lurkers want to win something tonight, get in the chat, make a comment, say something here, ask Oilers a question, get involved. In the next 5 minutes, if I see your name pop up here, I'll add you to the first giveaway. We're going to do a spinny wheel of death, last man or woman standing, last person standing. And for the first one, we'll do the Marvel Legends figure. So get active in the chat. I'll pull your name. We'll say we'll just give it 2 minutes. So at 10:40, what time is that? Your time? -3, right? 7:40. We will pull the names from the live chat and throw you into a wheel. All right, names are filling up. So you got 2 minutes. And until then, I want to talk about action figures because I see a bunch of really cool ones and 1/6 scale behind you, Hot Toys specifically, and some really dope ones. Star Wars, Mandalorian, Spider-Man, Iron Man. Which one's your favorite?
Oh man, I got like 7 more up there in boxes too. Statues in that room. If I showed you guys my my office, my wife would be like, "What? I didn't know you had all that."
We're not trying
to. Man, there's honestly, I can tell you which one is my favorite because it was my first Hot Toy.
Okay.
And it was one that I actually told my wife. I said, I really, really love this design, and I've just discovered this company named Hot Toys. And I said, if they ever make this, dear, will you let me buy this? And she's like, you like it that much? And I'm like, yes. And now I have 17. So this is my favorite.
Which one is it?
This is the Star Boost Iron Man suit from Iron Man 3. I think it's the Mark 37, if I'm not incorrect. So it was actually called the suborbital suit in the promotional materials, and then when they made the toys, they called them Star Boost. So it's like his astronaut suit.
I've always wanted an Iron Man piece because they're die-cast, right, for the most part?
The older ones are not. They're all plastic. But the newer versions, they have die-cast versions of Mark 1 through 7, and they have a die-cast gold Midas version of the Mark 7. Those are the only die-cast Iron Mans they have. The rest are combination die-cast frame and plastic or all plastic.
They look really cool, and the details are amazing. I've not been able to find one at a decent aftermarket price that I feel comfortable.
The aftermarket prices usually go up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, is there one that you always kept looking at or seeing that you liked? Or?
Well, honestly, I think everybody's the same way. The 85 just, I don't know if it's because the end game or what, but it's just a beautiful armor. And, I know it's a more recent one. I've seen it a few times in the shop. Or the Mark 7 would be the two that probably I would have on the shelf.
It is the Mark 7.
Oh, it's such a.
And this one is fully die cast. He feels like he weighs 10 pounds. It's really heavy. But this is the Mark 7, and I've got all of his switch outs on. And this is the one you can change him into the suit pod where he flies out of the top of Avengers Tower and wraps around Tony.
Yeah.
It comes with pieces to convert it to that suit pod.
Oh, that's so cool.
They still have it for sale on Sideshow and all the other sites where you can get them.
Oh,
but
really?
I will tell you, I don't know how much of a if you look at any of the sites that are outside of the U.S. Have you ever watched Justin's collection, his channel where he does figure reviews?
I'm bad with names. I'm sure.
Well, he's partners with one called Toys Wonderland. It's
Mm-hmm.
out of Hong Kong, and they're resellers. They're kind of like the Uber Eats of action figures. So they go buy from the source in Hong Kong and then sell all over the world because some stuff isn't distributed in the U.S., some stuff's not distributed in Australia. So they facilitate that for people, and they usually have to mark it up to cover their costs to do it for you. That's why I call them the Uber Eats of action figures, because they have to charge you to bring it to you. But they have the Mark 85 for $70 less than Sideshow.
Huh. I'll have to check it
I
out.
think it's $330. The shipping is like $60 from Hong Kong, but it's still cheaper than getting it here in the States.
To check it out, because that's a piece. Like when I buy these, I definitely want to display them like you're doing. And I have 4. I have the Venom Pool, which is a really cool figure. I have Deadpool 2. I have Roblox, The Rock. My wife got for me one year. And then what's my other one? Oh, the new tech suit Spider-Man. Kind of the blue and the red, but the blue is kind of a shimmery blue. Really beautiful piece. First Spider-Man piece. Oh, that's really cool.
This is another one. This isn't a Hot Toys. This is the Sideshow 1/6 scale probe droid. But this is another Joe Johnston special here.
Oh, did he design that? Oh, wow.
I think he helped design it. I don't think he's the lead designer on it. But because he did design the AT-AT and Boba Fett's armor. But I found out as I got older, all my favorite things from Star Wars were influenced by him. But yeah, this is one of my favorites. He lights up.
Oh yeah, anything that lights up really gets me.
And he's got the, I can't remember where the button is. It's so well hidden. He makes the noise too.
Oh.
So this is cool. Sir Probes a lot, by the way. I'll be putting him in a video
Sir
later.
Probes a lot. I picked up one that was interesting in that scale. It was a Medicom Darth Vader. I guess Real Reaction. I don't forget the name. That was pretty cool. It had sounds and lights up and everything. It was really cool. All right, let's get this spinny wheel out the way. This is going to be for the Marvel Legends figures, guys. Oilers is in there. I probably should take Oilers. Well, no, what? No, let me take you out. Sorry, guys.
I got too many figures. I'm good.
Yeah, let me take Oilers out. Boom. All right, reapply. Here we go. All right, guys, I'll give you a minute just to look and make sure your name's there. Try to keep this fair. That was a minute. Just kidding. Let's go. All right. You ready? Let's go. Justin, I don't recognize your name. Is this the first time watching? I'm sorry you didn't win, but you're out of this giveaway. Next time. There'll be one more giveaway tonight.
Oh, last man standing. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right. Hey, you won the gift card last week, Doug. So can't win them all, right? Cerebral Deep, you're out. Queen or Geek. Also, if you've won figures, I shipped everything today, so they will be on your way pretty quickly. I did 2 days shipping. Plassy, you're out, dude. Thanks for playing. You got to play to win, right? Oh, Fishnet Creative Studios. That's a new name, too. Welcome to the channel, and sorry you didn't win tonight. There's a second giveaway, though. Adam Gonzalez, you're out. Ooh, made 19. Sorry, dude. Marcus is out. Jay, you're in it. You're still in it, Jay Figs. Oh, almost not, though. Scarlet Kid is out. Sorry, Jay. Jinx you again. Toy Malarkey, if you'd been on time, you might have won. Oh, Star Marvel. Sorry, can't win them all. You won last week or the week before, I think. August photo out. All right, final 3. Final 2, Fernando. I couldn't read the other. Fernando and 796. Fernando, you take it. Hit me up. Hit me on Instagram. Let me know what you won and send me your address. I will send you Marvel Girl at no cost to you. So get me that address, please. All right. Let's do one more tonight. Oh, that's a cool figure. Sorry, I wasn't even looking.
That's fine. I've just been putting up random figures I like.
I have to go back and replay.
A Spider Carnage eating a donut. He's always chilling on my shelf.
Oh yeah, that Thanos hot toy. I've actually, my local comic book store has quite a few of them, and they actually have an Iron Man I may look into too. But yeah, congrats on that win, sweet Fernando. Please hit me up, and I will get that to you. All right, I'm gonna repick names, so hopefully, if you guys have stayed active in the chat, you will not have any more time this time. Oh, all right. New pool of names coming in.
Congratulations.
Yes, congrats. Let me refresh here.
You won a doll. No, I'm just kidding. I have my Samus Aran figure right over here. So.
Oh, well, we got an ad here.
An ad, huh?
Yeah.
A relationship we can bank on. Yeah.
Whoa, I never got this many ads on Will Decide. Would they update something?
Oh, and when we're done, I actually can advertise something that these guys can win for me on my channel if they want later, too.
And let me stop sharing this for a second. Will Decide caught on to the game. All right, here we go. I don't know why I did that. This take me a few minutes to set up. Do you want to wait to the end? Do you want to talk about it now?
Oh, I can talk about it now. So this.
Oh, wait. You got something to show? We'll save it for the end. Oh, no.
Okay.
Let me just make you big. Here. How about this? Boom. There we go.
So this is the Armorer, if you don't already know, from The Mandalorian. This is the Hot Toys Armorer figure. I have it because I ordered it from Toys Wonderland because they get it direct from Hong Kong. All the Sideshow ones won't distribute until they come here by boat. That's how I was able to get it so quick. So I did a review of this on my channel. It's my latest video. So if you go to Oilers Workshop on YouTube and watch this video, I allow you to enter a giveaway. So if you subscribe to my channel and comment on this figure review, that'll enter you to win this diorama. This fits into a Detolf. This is meant to look like a desert planet from Star Wars. And so it's designed, I mean, you could put a 1/12 scale figure in it too, but it's kind of designed with 1/6 in mind. So if you go watch that video, you have to comment on that video and be subscribed. And when I hit 2,000 subs, I'll give this thing away to one of the commenters on that video.
Comment, like, subscribe.
Oh, yeah.
That's a cool piece. Sorry, I can't really. 1 second. Is that, how long have you had that piece? Was that a recent build?
So if you go watch that video, I direct you to one of my other videos where I tell you how to make this. You can actually have a whole video on how I made this.
Oh, that's cool.
It's my one entitled How to Make an Action Figure Display. It's this display piece. And I'm giving it away to all the people that comment on this figure review. So if you want to make one, you can watch that video. And if you want to win it, you can go comment on this figure review.
Sweet. And look at that. That's a beautiful. Sorry, I was dude. I like that R2D2. Dude, all these things behind my back.
This is the monochromatic one, the black and white one from Sideshow Con 2016.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh, and you recently just got this figure here too, the Armorer, right? I saw your unboxing or some of the unboxing. That was cool. Looks really dope.
That's the video that I'm saying. They comment on that video and subscribe. They can win this.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. Building this spinny wheel. All right, guys, I have it ready to go. This is going to be for the Black Series figure that Jordan has given away. Not this display. Not to confuse. This is for this figure here that he just showed. All right, let's get this spin out the way. Let me get the share going on. And we'll come back to this as soon as the spinny wheel is over. All right, can you see that? Yes. All right, good. All right, let's go. So again, this is for the Jar Jar Black Series Deluxe figure that Jordan will be sending out. So if you win this, make sure you hit Jordan up. I left my name in there. Hold on 1 second. Yeah. I took Oilers. Yeah, all right. All right, here we go. All right. Oh, Whipstorm, you're out. Well, Fernando isn't going to win back-to-back. You're out. Fishnet, not this time. Maybe the next show. I do give a figure away thanks to Toy Maestro every episode, every Saturday night. Adam Gonzalez, you're out. Oh, Plassy, such huge support. I'm going to get you a figure one day. But you're out. Doug, you're out. Oh, Bat Force, you're out.
There needs to be like a carnival game they can all play or something. That'd be hilarious.
So I've looked into that, something that'd be interactive. Someone did, I think it was Dan who was doing some sort of duck race. I don't know how he was doing that, but it was really interactive for the audience.
That'd be fun.
Cerebral Deep. Yeah, I'm surprised with all these live streams that some little software developer hasn't come up with something like some sort of web app that, is like a plugin for YouTube. Or maybe I just thought of it. Need to go talk to a buddy. Toy Malarkey, you're out. Justin, you're out. Matt, sorry, not this time. All right, final four. Final three. Jay, Star Marvel, and I couldn't see the other name. Scarlet Kid. Oh. Final two, Star Marvel and Jay's Figs.
Oh, man.
Ooh, I don't know how I did a slow spin, but I did a slow spin. Whoa, Jay's Figs. Congrats, Jay Figs.
Wow. I just thanked him in the chat for saying he'd reshare my subscribe thing. Oh, that's what you get for being nice.
There you go. All right, let me stop sharing. Congrats, Jay. Jay never wins, apparently.
Jay's
I always jinx him.
Down.
Oh, he'll hit you up. Jay's probably already hit you up.
Are you on Instagram, Jay? Is he on Instagram?
Yeah, Jay's Figs.
Yeah, hit me up on the DMs on Instagram. That's the fastest way to get a hold of me. And give me your shipping address, man.
Rigged.
Doesn't everybody say that on every live stream ever with anything?
Yeah.
Or you're
Jay.
a shit. So.
Well, congrats, Jay. Good win. I like that figure a lot. Cool.
Yeah, maybe I'll see if I have some miniature boxes or trash bags I can send you with it too.
Oh, that'll be awesome. There you go, Jay.
I'll have some.
I don't know if well, you probably don't follow Jay, but he does some awesome like posing. Like he's phenomenal. Like he's balancing 3 or 4 figures in a pose, like, and they look legit. It's just not like a tripod or something like that. They're really like active movement type scenes. So Really cool. Cool. All right, they're the giveaways, guys. Congratulations to the winner, Fernando and Jay's Figs. Super awesome. And there you go. Look at that. Some cool boxes.
And I got a whole thing of miniature boxes I haven't finished putting together here. We'll give you a USPS priority shipping mail box.
Ooh, Jay getting the hookup.
And I'm going to be doing a video on my YouTube about how to make miniature boxes.
There you go. So, again, go subscribe and follow on Instagram, Oilers Workshop. Go comment on the video where he's unboxing that figure and help him get to his milestone, right? And he's going to give back to those that help him get there, right?
Oh,
Lucky
yes.
Ducks.
Yeah, and this is what you can win. I think I may... All the dioramas I think I'm going to be doing moving forward that are just for teaching on YouTube, I probably will be giving away on YouTube as well. So if you're, it's going to be, of course, only for channel subscribers, and I will have either a specific video or videos that you can comment in, because I'll do one of those random comment pickers. And so the way to do it on this one is, again, you got to watch this figure review, and it's my most recent full-length video. I have a couple of shorts on there. But this figure review, comment on this figure review and be subscribed. And when I hit 2,000 subscribers, one of you who commented on this video will get this piece.
There you go, guys. Get to subscribe and hit up the YouTubes. That's awesome of you to do. Everybody admires your work, and look at that.
So you can also make this yourself. I have that video there too. It's the how to make an action figure display video. So if you don't want to try to win something and wait around to 2,000 subs, go try to make one yourself.
All right, so this is what we're going to do. I think we're down to the 2-hour mark. I have 2 questions before we go, and then when we go, I'm going to play. So I work closely with foam formers, love what they do for the community. I'm sure you do too. So I do a real weekly where I just run through all the people that's done hashtags for them. So we'll do that, and then we'll get out of here. But before we go, 2 questions for you. Are the 2 types of foam that most people use, the pink and the green, which is Home Depot versus Lowe's, it seems like, which is your preferred?
Home Depot, the pink XPS 100%. It's denser. It's easier to cut. It's more, it's kind of like a better raw material. But the Lowe's one works fine too. It just has a texture you have to kind of deal with.
There you go. Yeah, it seems like the green stuff tears, even with the sharpest blade. Certain direction, it just tears. I don't know. It works with some detail. But
you're right. I haven't worked with it as much, but it does. But most of my cutting for long cuts is done on a hot wire cutter, so it avoids the tear out. But yeah, if you want a good all-around foam and you don't want to mess with that, definitely go with pink foam.
Well, I might have a third question, maybe. And then behind you, what looks to be comic book displays. Did you make those yourself?
No. So I actually had those full yesterday, and I put them in my collection. I'm going to put some new ones up there. Those are made by Nerdstalgia on Instagram. He is a cabinet installer, I think, by trade, and him and his wife make custom comic book display cabinets.
I got to check.
And those hold 75 comic books each and hang on the wall. Nice. And he makes ones with drawers and glass fronts, all kinds of beautiful stuff. He'll make you what you want too. Like you can tell him what you want and what size and what books, what age of books, even Golden Age, Silver Age, and he'll make them. So I got those from him a couple years ago.
Nice. Yeah, check it out. I think I've seen them in the past. You've had some slabs in there. I really want to. So my slabs just sit on the shelf with some figures in front, but I want to hang them something that looks a little more prestigious, and like what you got back there.
His prices are super fair too. Like. They're not, I think these were like $70 shipped each.
Oh, wow.
For a handmade, hand-painted,
right?
Thing that is incredibly well made by a cabinet maker,
Awesome. And then so you tickled me with how you said you cut your foam with the hot wire table. Did you make your own hot wire table?
No, I actually was going to. I don't know which videos or things you've seen, but I watched the King of Random video like forever ago and wanted to make my own. But then I found one that was pretty affordable on eBay, the Hot Wire Foam Factory.
Mm-hmm.
At the time I bought it, I think it was only $45. I think they're up to like 80 now. But honestly, I would get a higher quality layout with the grid on it. I mean, it's not the same quality. I shouldn't say that, but
Yeah.
the ones that have a grid. But I've been using this one for 7 years, and I haven't found a reason to get something else, and it works great. So
Yeah. The reason why I asked that is because like long cuts and stuff like that, I have a Proxxon, and it can get difficult because the fence is low, where's position. So I wanted to come up. You've seen people do it with like the small table saws and like recess it into the bench. And I didn't know if you've done something like that or how you were doing it. But I have had a lot of ideas to get in longer cuts because I'm just doing small cuts with it.
HotWireFoamFactory.com, they have the, again, going back to my days and watching behind the scenes videos, when they're making like giant mountains out of miniatures, mountains out of styrofoam, they have these big band saws that are hot wire cutters. They're like the big wide band saws for trees, for cutting limbs off trees, but they have a wire stretched across them. So you have a 2 foot long wire, and they sell those at HotWireFoamFactory.com. So it's like a bow with a blade on it, and you can cut through it. And so I plan on at some point making my own table version of that. But you can get like free flowing ones on their website right now.
Huh. Yeah, I have to go check that out. Cool. All right. Well, that's it, guys. We're going to run into the foam formers reel, but that's it for tonight. Please, thank you, Jordan. I was going to tell these guys to say thank you, but I'm just going to tell you thank you for taking your time on a Saturday, late. Well, it's still kind of early for you, but, you know, dinner time, right? It's dinner time for you. So, and you're a foodie, we just found out. So you probably got the steaks and the chicken and waffles ready after the show, post-show. But thank you so much. You're a big inspiration. I've told you that before. We tease about it sometimes, but thank you so much for what you do and sharing what you do with everybody in the community. And guys, please go make sure I got everything in the description below, where to follow him, you know, his Patreon. Go look him up. You know, he's doing great things. He's building great things, doing great things for the community. Also, I don't know if we talked about it tonight, but the tiny art experiment, maybe a little bit. I don't know if you want to plug that a little bit, but that should be coming soon, right? Next couple of months.
Yeah. So, like he said, you can find me on YouTube at Oilers Workshop, Instagram Oilers_Workshop. But I have another page on Instagram. It's just Tiny Art Experiment, one word. It's an idea I had years ago, which is basically I'm pulling together artists from around the world now. I thought it was just going to be maybe in the States, but I had people from the UK, from Norway, from Australia, from Central America, and Canada reach out. And so they are all I have one piece from the UK and one piece from Norway sitting in a box over here that I haven't opened yet. And what we're making is a giant desert-themed diorama from Star Wars, and I'm having all these other artists make their eight little pieces or contributions or features or vehicles or even characters. And I'm going to take everything everyone makes and build it into one big cohesive piece that hopefully can be moved around. And we've got A1 Groundwalker, Sergeant Bananas, Jason Yang, Work More or Less, and Plastic Action are going to photograph whatever we all make. So you get to see all that over on that. And I'm going to be posting videos on my YouTube channel when I actually get the videos filmed. But my next update's probably going to be coming before the end of September, with a lot of the unboxings of what people have sent and talking about the early stages of getting that laid out. And every time I have some progress made, I'll be posting a video about that on my YouTube.
There we go. Awesome. Yeah, I contributed some doors. I think those are in the works, so can't wait.
Those are awesome. Those are so perfect.
That was awesome to design and come up with. I've actually used it in the piece that I'm giving away here soon. I instead of 1/18 scale, bumped it up to 1/12 scale, and it came out, you know, pretty good. So
love that.
All right. Well, these long goodbyes are tough, but we're going to say goodbye again.
Can
Thank
I
you,
show
Jordan.
one thing really quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really quick. So I hinted at this earlier when I was talking about the snow diorama.
Yeah.
All right. So this is something that my Patreons are getting to see built in real time. So this is kind of my thank you to the people who are giving me that direct support on Patreon. I let them see what I'm building in real time, not the finished result or like a condensed version of it, but what I'm doing. So this is for a stop motion animator.
Ooh. Oh, wow. Yeah, I've seen. Wow. That's huge.
It's true 1/18 scale. So
Wow.
it is actually, well, I mean, it might be like 1 or 2% smaller, but it's true 1/18 scale to the original Star Wars action figures. So I'm going to make the whole thing, and it's going to be crashed in the snow on Hoth.
Wow.
So I spent a
That is
lot of
awesome.
time thinking about how in the world I'm going to do the snow and everything. There's more to this that I can't show, but this is the head, and it's pretty much almost done. I've got the cannon blown off of this side, you know, and there's a bullet, there's a laser hole in the eye here. When I peel this off after I finish painting it, you'll see that it got blasted through the windshield. But this is some of that heat sculpting that I was talking about with some of these compound curves that I shared with my patrons. And this is 3 different materials already, or well, 3 different materials and a bunch of found objects for this cannon here. So that's what I'm sharing live on Patreon. When I'm done, I will share a full time lapse of the whole build on YouTube. So I'm recording all of this in time lapse, so you'll be able to just watch it with music behind it. But they're getting like the full explanations of why I'm doing what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, you know, over there. So
Awesome. Yeah, that's crazy. You're crazy.
I know.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's roll into the foam formers reel. Before we go, I do want to make sure I call out those supporters, Billy Moon, Star Marvel, and B Barnes over on Patreon. Thank you guys for all the support. Like I said, you guys help make me be able to continue to do this channel. You know, it does take money to run this kind of stuff, and we are doing it on our time. So thank you for the support and allowing me to, you know, do this for you. And anyway, let's get into it. Long goodbyes are over. This is from Foam Formers. Don't go away. I want to talk to you backstage before we head out. But here we go, guys.
Everybody.
Yeah, thank you all for tonight. Make sure you hit that like button, and then here we go. Foam Formers. Make sure you follow them on Instagram. Make sure if you're building dios or anything, use the hashtag Foam Formers. Oh yeah, and one last thing. The donation is tagged. If you guys feel charitable, it's for the kids, Toys for Tot drive that the Infinity Equation guys are doing. Please go drop a donation. All right, here we go. Foam Formers real. Thanks, guys. Happy Saturday. Bye.